A perfect life turned into a nightmare. Life has a funny way of blindsiding you when you least expect it. I was just an average guy, 35 years old, happily married, or so I thought, to Lisa, my wife of 7 years. We had a decent home, stable jobs, and what seemed to be a perfect relationship. But behind the scenes, a storm was brewing, one that would nearly destroy me. I've always believed in loyalty and trust, but as I learned the hard way, not everyone operates by the same principles. My wife not only betrayed me, but she and her lover, Mark, hatched an elaborate scheme to make my life a living hell. They wanted to take everything from me, my sanity, my money, my freedom. What they didn't count on: me fighting back. The beginning of the nightmare. Lisa started acting differently, cold, distant, secretive. She was glued to her phone, making late-night trips to visit her cousin, and her excuses barely made sense. I wasn't born yesterday, so I started paying attention. One day I checked her phone while she was in the shower, and there it was, hundreds of messages between her and Mark. They weren't just sleeping together, they were plotting against me. The setup, framing me for murder. One night, Lisa came home in a state of fake distress. She told me Mark had become possessive and violent, that he was threatening both of us. She begged me to protect her. I was skeptical, but her performance was Oscar-worthy. A few nights later, she woke me up in a panic. She whispered that Mark had broken into our garage and was waiting for me. Adrenaline rushed through me as I grabbed a bat and ran to the garage. Sure enough, Mark was standing there acting aggressive. Before I could think, he lunged at me and instinct took over. I swung the bat. He hit the ground lifeless. Lisa screamed, pretending to be in shock. I was shaking, convinced I had just killed a man. She told me we had to get rid of the body before the police found out. We wrapped him up and drove out to a secluded area, where I dug a hole and buried what I believed was a corpse. The ghost of Mark in the extortion plot. A week later, strange things started happening. I'd get eerie text messages from an unknown number saying, "I'm still here, and you can't get rid of me that easily." Lisa would wake up screaming, claiming she saw Mark's ghost standing in our bedroom, whispering to her. Objects in the house moved, doors creaked open by themselves, and I started questioning my sanity. Then Lisa suggested we hold a ritual to appease Mark's spirit. It sounded ridiculous, but I was already mentally exhausted. That's when she brought up the real motive. She said I had to sign over all my assets to her so she could make a spiritual offering. That's when I knew I was being played. Uncovering the truth. I played along, but I started investigating. First, I checked my home security cameras. Lisa had disabled the main ones, but what she didn't know was that I had a backup camera in the garage. The footage was damning. It showed Mark lying down before I arrived, whispering with Lisa, clearly setting up the whole scene. Then I traced the unknown number texting me. It led back to a burner phone, one Lisa had purchased. The cherry on top? I found Mark alive and well at a cheap motel, using his own credit card like an idiot. Armed with undeniable proof, I set my own trap. Revenge, turning the tables. I confronted Lisa, showing her everything. The color drained from her face. She stammered, trying to spin some excuse, but I cut her off. I had already filed for divorce, frozen our joint accounts, and given all my evidence to the police. She snapped. She threatened to call the cops and tell them I had really killed Mark. That's when I smiled and told her the best part. I had already reported everything, and the police were on their way. Lisa and Mark were arrested for conspiracy, fraud, and attempting to extort me. Their plan to ruin me backfired in the worst way. The judge didn't take kindly to their little stunt, and they both ended up serving time. Karma always comes back. Lisa begged me for forgiveness, writing letters from prison about how she had been manipulated. Mark, on the other hand, tried to cut a deal by throwing her under the bus. In the end, it didn't matter. Both of them got what they deserved. As for me, I got my life back. The divorce was finalized and I moved on, wiser and stronger. It took time to heal, but knowing karma took care of them was the best closure I could ever ask for. Betrayal is a bitter pill to swallow, but nothing is more satisfying than watching justice unfold. Some people think they can play with others' lives and get away with it, but the universe has a way of making things right. And in my case, karma hit them harder than I ever could.